Oh,
Okay.
good afternoon, all, and welcome to E Squared Empowerment with Alicia. I'm your host, Alicia Buss, and I have the great privilege and honor of connecting you with a dear friend of mine, Caitlin Naramore. She has done so many amazing things in this world. She is a singer, a songwriter. She just came out with an awesome new music video. She coaches entrepreneurs that are, like conscious women in the healing and coaching industry that want to like raise their impact and lots of money. And she also was a chef in New York City. She does so many cool things. But as I could ramble for a very long time about that, let me first tell you what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how to bring love and practice it every single day. We're going to talk to you about our powerful women who are entrepreneurs that are heart led leaders. And we're going to talk to you about entrepreneurship and how you can both slay and have fun because we like to have fun here. So, Caitlin, thank you so much for listening to my spiel and being here with us today.
Oh, you're good at this, girl. I love it. I love it. That was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, Caitlin, thank you for being with us. Tell us just a little bit about you and like something that you have overcome in your life that just helps with the tremendous amount of wisdom you get to share with us.
Something I've overcome in my life. Man,
Yes.
that
Just
is
gonna
such an
jump right into
excellent.
the deep end.
I know. Let's just go. We're just going there, like straight out the Jeeps. I mean, honestly, because I hadn't put a whole lot of thought into this. So I'm going with the moment here and what's like
Yes.
first coming up. And what's coming up and what is so awesome, um, self-worth, issues
Mm,
of self-worth. Um, how would I say I have overcome that? Like, oh my God, in so many ways.
yeah.
Things I used to tolerate in relationships. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Things I used to tolerate as a lifestyle. Things I used to tolerate, like heck, even things I put into my body.
Mm,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
For instance, I've been 5 years sober, no alcohol, right?
Congratulations.
And
That's
it and
awesome.
it it wasn't that I had an issue with alcohol. It was just at a certain point, I had a few, like I would typically have like this much, like I would like just be like the little fairy little sipper. I was
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
point, not way back when. Way back when I would like tank it down, like when I was 20 kind of thing, like a lot of us,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
But over the years, I got healthier and healthier, more and more, whatever, just clear in my being.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess I'm making this about alcohol, but it's just a good symbol because
Sure.
I went and visited my family in California and where I'm from.
Mhm.
And I had like maybe 5 drinks over the course of a week or something. And
Okay.
I felt so bad. It
Mm.
was like I was like possessed. Like I did not feel good.
Aw.
And I was like, you know what? I don't need this in my body if that's what its like ultimate effect is going to be
Yeah.
on me. And it was just an easy decision, just easy from henceforth. And my partner also, he's been sober for like 10 years. So that's just one
Awesome.
example. But that also includes foods. Things like I can't do gluten. I can't do refined sugar, makes me basically a lunatic. I can't do caffeine in the form of coffee. And these are
Mm.
just things, again, no judgment. Other people can handle it. Cool. If that's
Yeah.
healthy for them. For me, it's been a journey of like literally when I put something in my body and it's like, that doesn't feel good. It brings my energy down, or I get depressive, or like seriously, or like my eyes get goopy if I eat gluten. It's weird. Like I have really direct experience. So, and that includes partnership and it includes how I'm treated big time.
Yeah.
Big time. I tolerated some stuff in my early days, and I'm like, wow. If I had known then what I know now, if I had the self-respect now, then that I have now,
Girl, I
and
feel you.
right, and this is big for women, our self-worth and
Yeah.
our self-dignity and our self-respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can give ourselves over, right? Um,
Yeah.
in all, so many different ways. So I don't know if I can give so many specifics beyond that, but I can just say, it's really been a journey.
Yeah.
And then that's included financial allowance, let's call it,
Right.
wealth circulation, and just, really coming into states of being that allow, and in my world, it's the queen energy,
Yes. I love
right?
that.
The modern queen is my business. And, I honestly chose that for a reason. Um, and there's whole stories behind that, but in part, yeah, I can keep going. There's so much. There's so many
You
layers to
go
all of
all
it,
the
but
way
it was
forth. I'm like, we
essentially
have
just
time.
like being like, I am now going to sit on the seat of my own throne, and not be the lady in waiting, and not be second in command, and not like wish I had what she had. Mhm. But
Mm,
instead create it, and not just, and create it from, I'm doing this, from my sovereignty, from my center, from my own like mindset and willingness to let go of limiting patterns that were holding me back and causing me pain.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a decision.
Yes. And I
It's
think that
every time it's a decision.
yeah, and giving yourself grace throughout that process as you come
Mhm.
to a point of greater and greater strength to stay within
Mhm.
that alignment of self and sovereignty.
Yep. Yeah. Big time. Grace is so it. And I feel like spirit gives me grace too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, when you sing, it definitely seems that like spirit comes through in that way. Like you have such a beautiful golden voice and
Mm.
transcends.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's a piece of it. Like it took me 20 years to make that EP. Took me 20 years to like position myself. I don't know. I kept kind of denying it, pushing it off. Like it had been a dream more than 20 years, probably 25 years
Yeah.
in the making, you know. And I was like, okay, get with it, girl. Like life is carousing on. Gotta catch it. Gotta catch that wild horse by the reins.
Yeah.
Or
And we will
mane.
drop the link again for anybody who didn't have the chance to see it. We'll make sure and drop the link to her music
Yeah.
video after our show
Thank you.
today because it is a beautiful music video,
Thank
like
you.
as well as the sound, the presentation, her clothes, like everything about it is just super cool.
I do outfit changes all over the world. It's really fun.
All over the world.
I just, and now I'm in this place in this dress. It's great.
It's so fantastic. And I love how that just really easily blends into our first conversation piece of like love and how we practice love every day, or
Mm,
how we can practice love every day.
mm,
Not that we
mhm,
necessarily always are.
mhm, mhm. And just to be clear, like the way I was approaching this was practicing love like with my partner, but then there's also just practicing love.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking the second might be a little more, well, maybe just both.
I
I
think
mean,
both would be really beautiful because there are so many different types of love, right? We have the love we have with our partner, we have universal love, we have
yeah,
self-love,
we
like
have friendship
all this
love, we have
friendship
like
love, the love
familial
between
love.
a child and parent, and
Hmm.
vice
Hmm.
versa, like all of those
Hmm.
different things.
Animal, my cat.
I'm sorry, I have to share this with you because it's too funny.
But
Karen Kagan just wrote, she said, OMG, yes, the song, the beautiful dresses, and the silver space boots.
oh,
She means silver space boots. At first, I read that as silver space boobs, and I was just
maybe
like,
that'll be in
did
the
I
next video.
miss the video?
Silver space boobs.
I was imagining Madonna, right? Like from the early 80s with her crazy cone boobs of like the
Exactly,
silver.
exactly. Oh my God, Karen, next video.
Amazing. And back to self-love. And if
Those
your
boots are
representation
amazing.
are silver like space boobs, then you should do that.
You too can be empowered to wear your silver space boobs,
You
ladies.
can be
Okay.
empowered to wear whatever silver space boobs and boots you need. Halloween is right around the corner, folks. Start planning your costumes now.
But don't we though? I mean, meaning like that's why we kind of love celebrities and stuff because they just go there and
They
like
just wear
full
it all the
permission.
time.
or Burning Man, either
Burning
way.
Man. Oh God, I love Burning Man. If
Me
anybody
too.
doesn't know what Burning Man is, because there are some people, some out there somewhere that have missed that boat entirely. I highly recommend you Google it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not around your children though.
Not around what?
Not around your children though.
What, Burning Man?
Yeah, you never know what's gonna pop up.
Oh, I have friends who bring their kids to Burning Man
No, no,
as
no.
well.
It's a, yeah, but I'm saying like it depends on like what your beliefs. I think it's beautiful that children are there. I'm just saying for
Sure.
certain people have certain, like
Sure.
modesty levels. So like watch it
Sure.
first. Then if you want to show your children, you're ready.
Yeah. Just be prepared that your
Just be
children will be exposed to many strange and wonderful things, including body parts.
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful. Anyway, loving your community. That's what Burning Man is all about. Bringing it back to love. Burning Man is a very loving community of people.
And in full regalia. Yeah.
The full
Like, bring your
regalia.
freak out. Yeah.
The creativity that comes forward in
Oh,
Burning Man is
yeah.
so phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like people spend all year sometimes creating the structures, creating their outfits. Like
Art cars.
yeah, the art cars. Yes.
Yeah.
So many incredible things. And I mean, and that's part of what like love and sovereignty is, right? Is like owning what you love to do, loving, like honoring what your particular talent is life. And how we can all come together in community and honor what each person gets to bring to the table without that grasping, without that scarcity, without that like, oh, I want what that person has, rather than being like, what can we all contribute, right? And hold space for.
And also just trusting like God loves you, the universe loves you, and that like
Yes.
why, like in an ultimate abundant universe, which is in my belief system truly the truth. We have,
So,
30 trillion cells in our body, countless, stars to know fathomless ends.
right.
One tree has God knows how many leaves and fruits if it's a fruiting tree. Like
Yeah.
nature is abundant, and
Abundant.
there's literally no reason we are separate from that abundance other than having to move through life challenges, and everybody has them, and there's varying degrees of poverty, and I respect,
Yeah.
it's a journey, but in these times and in these days we have opportunities beyond opportunities to excel and to have the grace of God move through us, and that includes the abundant life, an abundant way of life.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of a powerful yet like sad, if you like, yeah, story. Long ago, I had a teacher when I was getting my postgrad in equine assisted learning, really powerful, wonderful woman. She told me a story about when she'd gone to a foreign country and she was talking to these women who lived literally like on a pile of garbage, this giant pile of garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman had lost her child.
Mm-hmm.
And in the morning, she went onto the top of this garbage pile and she was smiling. And the woman that I knew was like, "Why are you smiling?" And she said, "Because I get another day."
Mm-hmm. Woo.
Yeah. So that was her abundance mindset, that like she gets another day, that she could grieve and
Even with all
transcend that
that
grief,
loss
even
and
with
what
all that loss, and even in that space, that she could still stand in a space of like purity and gratitude. And I get another day.
chills. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that alone,
Yeah.
that especially. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, y'all, quit your fucking complaining.
I'm like, if that
Quit it.
person,
Quit it.
if that person can find that space and that grace and that
Right.
strength, like,
Like, quit your
oh,
divisiveness and all the things we do. It's like,
yeah,
oh
just
my
like,
God, life is so much more beautiful than that.
yeah, to
So
not
much
belittle
more.
any person's experience, right? To understand that like we can grieve our own space, but also know that we have so much more strength within us than we
Mm-hmm.
can imagine, if
Yeah.
only we allow ourselves to access it.
Yeah.
And that's why we have coaches to help us when we get stuck and we're like, I have no fucking idea how to
Sure.
access this part of myself. Can somebody please help me?
Sure. Well said. It is the truth. It is the truth. And why we help each other, It's like,
Yeah, absolutely. Where we
yeah.
help each other. And so, and in partnership, so like bringing us back full circle to that conversation is like the beauty of partnership. So like you and Look have this beautiful partnership. It is like one of the most beautiful partnerships I've ever had
Mm,
the opportunity to witness and be in
mm,
presence of.
mhm.
So I would love to hear, and I know things aren't, I talk so like highly of you, but I also don't put you on a pedestal because I know you're still human
Sure.
beings.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. Oh, if you guys only knew. Oh, look at that. Like we work through ancestral layers.
yeah,
Woo! But that's part
so
of the
that's
beauty.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So practicing love, I mean, for us, it's like it's ongoing. You realize like we're not taught to love. Most of us, most humans, we we're we, I ooh, we are coming around these times, the Great Awakening, I believe, of our spirits and of our souls and of our hearts, right? And we're going like, oh shit, we've been in millennia of abuse, suffering, and pain, and and there's all these variety of ways upon which we wake up now, plant medicines and tuning in to Christ consciousness and
yeah,
meditations and trauma coaches, trauma informed
millions.
therapy. Like there's just, there's so many ways to awaken, right? And
Yeah,
think like amazing. But we realize as we awaken, oh shit, there's that layer and there's that layer. And whoa, that is probably coming from an ancestral, hand me down. So you're like,
yep,
wait, I don't think I move. Like that actually doesn't fit my soul, that hand me down, but like we're wearing it because we think it's normalized, right? In our, this is
having that
family, this is
conversation and
cultural,
yeah,
right?
conversation and counseling right before I hopped on this call.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, and it's like, wow, it's and we have to grieve it, and we have to like,
Yeah, for sure.
like release, like charge from our bodies, and um pain body, right? There's this term pain
Yes.
body. And so as we go into partnership, oh, I mean, it's so, whoa, it's so deep, right? Because we
Mm,
come
yeah.
in, unless we've done a tremendous amount of work, and even then, I think we're in this
Always.
journey. It's always more of just unpacking, unloading, cleaning up,
Yep.
clearing up, right? And realizing like, oh, and then so much compassion, right? So much
Yeah.
forgiveness.
For
So,
ourselves and for others. Yeah.
it's just this beautiful thing where you're like, wow, we weren't taught how to love. And in fact, oftentimes quite the contrary,
Yeah.
and hence why it's so in my world, the crucial of the crucial and the journey of the journey and the like the end all be all is this path of love and this path of waking up and this path of like, I'm going to be the change, right?
Yeah.
I'm
For
I'm
sure.
not going to carry that abuse forward. And then you got
Yeah.
to catch it. And then you got to be like, oh man, there's that thing. Or like, I know I have a propensity that I think is a hand me down for sure of being really hard on myself.
Mm,
I can be
I
really hard
do.
on myself. Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
love
so,
that experience too.
oh yeah, and so, right. And then you go, oh, and you love that part of yourself. You don't reject it. It's coming from something either inherited or something you started
Yeah.
to believe when you were like 5 about yourself. And
Yeah.
then when you step into a partnership, it's unpack, you have to really unpack because your triggers are bound to occur. They're just bound to when you're just that mirror is that close,
Mhm.
you know. So in this regard, and Alok and I, we're on a journey with it. It is like, and we keep choosing to love.
Yeah.
And we do that in little ways. Like, I did a post recently. People might have seen it where we leave these post-it notes on our morning coffee and teas.
Oh, that's so
I
sweet.
I receive them more because he wakes up before me typically. So it's kind of like whoever wakes up first will make the others coffee or tea.
Sweet.
And it's great. I have this whole like brew that I make, and I have him like he knows how to make it now. It's
You
quite
learned.
complex. Yeah. I've trained him how to make my morning like brew. This whole is like a medicinal, like it's got like colostrum and mushrooms and like,
Yeah,
like
like all the
fulvic
things.
acid. Like it's like this whole thing.
You're like, and then fold it this way and then steep it for
Yeah,
10 minutes.
totally. And like, and then you put it in the blender and it has to be, and then you put the, cardamom on top and sprinkles, and it's like a whole thing.
I use cardamom too in my stuff.
Yeah. Pumpkin spice, cardamom, nutmeg,
So
cinnamon, like, oh my God. So, that's just one example of like a daily ritual of just like,
yeah.
and then writing each other like a sweet note. We certainly like, because, we'll be busy throughout our days and we'll just do like a little like, okay, we call it like docking, dock, where we hug and we just center and we express love and kiss and whatever, but we'll just be like, hi, I'm here. And then on our way. Practicing love is taking full ownership for your own shit.
100%.
Whoa, skis. And I can really tell you, I came into this relationship with some like, woo,
Stuff.
yeah, and we do it, and then you're like, whatever, again, whatever's unresolved, whatever stuff like to do with your upbringing or maybe from other relationships in your life or, like former partners. Woo! Like, and it's what's so beautiful, beautiful, beautiful,
It's beautiful.
about, about stepping into a partnership. And again, I think, and hello, you're stepping into a new partnership, and
I
these times,
know. I was gonna say,
in
mine
these
wrote me a sticky
days,
mine wrote me a sticky note too.
oh, cute, yay, exactly. It's such just a sweet. It's just so like
They're so
every
sweet.
time, it's a new message, a new day, and it's just this way of like, oh.
Yeah.
Um, but wait, what was I saying? When you walk into a new partnership, it's like it's all the glory and then it's all your stuff. If
Yeah.
you haven't fully, you know,
Yeah.
healed it, I guess is one way, or fully grounded it. Or
Yeah.
fully come to terms with it. And it's beautiful though.
It
The
is.
layers of the onion,
Mm-hmm.
and then each time you're like, oh, and for me, it's always like so tender what's actually at the root of any
Yeah.
of the trigger. Like it
Yeah.
is some part of us that either feels unloved or didn't feel loved at some point, or, just needs, there's some like sweet need, or yeah, like that. And then at the root of that is just that desire for connection.
Yeah. That's definitely a big one. I feel so blessed in my relationship with Chris that we hold space so well for each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that we both come from a space of like a growth mindset. And
Yes.
so if we do stumble across something, you're like, ah, I didn't like how that hit, or like, I need
Hmm.
something else, being able to
Hmm.
hold that space with grace, but also healthy boundaries and like calling it out.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yep.
not ever in a way
We
that's
say
like
call it up. Call
belittling,
it up.
calling it up. Yes, I love that. That's much
Hmm.
better. Like, so we like, we
Hmm.
call it up. And it's
Hmm.
never in a way of belittling. It's never a way of
Yeah.
making less.
Exactly.
But just
Exactly.
honoring that like this is part of our journeys, and like
Yes.
how we can honor that like each one of us has something that we get to bring forward to hold for the other person, a
Yes.
different perspective, or like just a beingness.
Yes.
That makes sense, you know,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
you just
big
get to
time.
be, yeah, you just get to be with your person in a
Hmm.
way that's like loving,
And
but
supportive.
also having that self-love,
Yeah.
that you're like, hey, if an old behavior from them came up, that you're not like, you're like, I'm not okay with that. And this is
Yeah.
what I'm going to need from you from that situation.
Yes.
And if that's not something you can provide, then you need to go handle that somewhere
Hmm.
else and then come
Hmm.
back to me when you're in a better spot.
Boom.
And I will still be here and loving you in these ways, but
Yeah.
I'm going to handle my shit over here while you handle your
No,
shit
it's so,
over.
and sometimes you literally have to like, okay, each,
Yeah.
like in a boxing ring, like go to your corners,
Go to your corners.
go to your corners, go handle that. We have instated, I'll share, this is like a practice that's really helped. And I mean, because we can ramp up. We're both, we both have these like, woo, and it's something to really regulate, like that
Yeah.
self-regulation. We're both fiery, we're feisty, and it's like there can be a ramp
What?
up. And in the early stages of our relationship, we let those like
You let it
wild
flare.
horses run
Yeah.
go crazy on each other, you know? And so over the years, we're like, yeah, that doesn't work. That certainly doesn't feel good. And like learning, you know, how to stabilize and how to calm and how to not let it escalate, right?
Yeah.
And
Beautiful gift
I,
to give people and have for yourself.
God, speaking of escalation and no wonder, I don't know if anybody's watched the series The Bear. Um, it's so good. Speaking of chef, it's this guy, but it's intense, man. And those people ramp and they are like, I mean, the stress levels in that show. Sometimes you're watching it, and you're just like, oh my God, like it's so intense. But he has a his like cohort in the kitchen. He's like this Michelin. It's a whole story. I won't go into it, but I liked it as a
Look it up
chef.
later. Oh, the
Excellent
bear. Go find it
cinematography,
on.
excellent characters, like, but it gets like brutally intense in some scenes and stuff. But so they start a thing where she goes like this every time it starts to ramp. And I sent a clip of that scene to Alok, and we now do that. If one of us
Mm.
starts to ramp, we just go, slow it down, cut you back to the heart. Just keep like, come on, and then okay. Now, I'm not always, like I could definitely do that because I just want to get my point across, and I'll just be like, yeah, but oh, you know, you're cutting me off if I do that. But so it's a journey of learning, but it helps to just be like, hey, we don't like that's not where we're going.
Mhm.
We're gonna take it, you know, take it slow, bring it back down, like steady as she goes. And that is a major practice of love. And that we have so many more we picked up along the way. But
Oh, I'm
yeah,
sure.
but I love that. I love the simplicity. And it's literally like calming. Like if you do this, you're just like,
Yeah,
oh,
you're just like,
there's
okay,
like back to the heart, like here, right there.
back to the embodied practice of self.
And then you know, a message to the other, like, hey, like
I'm
slow it
starting to
down.
get interpolated.
Yeah, the wild horses are like stomping on me right now. Come on, you know, like calm them down. Yeah,
Yeah. One of
yeah.
the practices I love is like Chris and I will just say pass. Like if either one of us are
Pass.
not in the space to have a
Mm,
conversation, we
hmm.
can just say pass because we know that we can come back, we can circle back to the conversation when we're in a space of neutrality and have the bandwidth
Yep.
to actually
More
like have it.
resource.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So those are ways, and then practicing love. I mean, there's partnership. So it's in a way, though, what did my sister said once, and I thought it was so just kind of like astute, you know, she's just like, love is attention.
Mm,
And it's like, you know, I
presence.
have
Yeah.
like 80 plants around the house. Like I'm a crazy green thumb. And like, what do they need but love? You know, they do
Yeah.
better when you feed them and you give them food and even, you know, give them a little like, you can talk to them, whatever, you know. Same thing with your animals. You know,
Yeah.
like, and same thing with someone that you come across like at the grocery store. And this is something Alok, oh my God, and as far as him walking his talk, I just love who he be in public with everybody and anyone, wait staff, Uber driver, person at Whole Foods, you know, just heck, the homeless person on the street, like anyone and everyone he comes in contact with, he's present. He's like, just, hey, brother. He often, hey, man, you know, like, just he's right there. Workers we have come to our house, like, it's like they're just bros by the end of their time here. Like, he absolutely treats everybody with dignity, respect as an equal, and with care and with love. And like, imagine a world where we just did that. So like everything, you
Yeah.
know, nature, like instead
Yeah.
of bulldozing it and like exploiting it, like what if we talked to it and said, well, what do you need? And
Yeah.
how, you know, how can we work together on this? And how, you know,
It's
right?
incredible. Yeah.
And so practicing love is like it's in every drop in an ounce of what we do. And like I forget what you said exactly, but you know, self-love can also be creativity. Practicing love is creation, right? And like whatever your thing is that like makes you happy, maybe it's baking, maybe it's painting, maybe it's dancing, maybe it's, I don't know, you know,
Yeah.
going out with your
Just so many.
girlfriend. There's so
Yeah.
many ways. You know, that's like
So
the thing.
many
There's
ways.
so many ways to love. There's so many
Yeah.
ways to bring it back to love. And we can just be so silly. We do the default state thing, right? Where we're like, I don't believe in this, and you do, so I'm gonna we're gonna separate, you know, and all the ways, you know. And
Yeah.
I like But it's like we don't do that. We practice love. We practice love as a daily. It's like, and it's just it's life itself. Like what's at the root of reality? I think the root at like the source of God is love. The
Yeah.
source of like the entire universe is
Yeah, that's so
pure,
beautiful.
unadulterated, like just unending, never ending, always there for you love. And so how do we tap into that? And how do we become channels of that?
Absolutely. And I
Every day.
really appreciate you
Yeah.
bringing all of that forward. I think oftentimes it's so much what it is that we believe.
Yeah.
Like 20 years ago, I remember I was going to New York City for the first time, and everybody's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, New Yorkers, like they're so mean, rah, rah, rah. They never smile or talk to anybody. They hate everybody." And I was just like, I don't believe that. I don't think that that's true at all. And so I went to New York with the belief that I was just like, I'm going to smile at every single person that I see.
Hmm.
And I'm just going to hold that space of belief that all of us can experience love, all of us can connect.
Yeah.
And every single person I smiled at in New York smiled back at me.
Uh,
I didn't get any pushback. Like everybody was kind and supportive and like smiled or had a conversation or told me where I was supposed to go or like
Yep.
recommended some place. And I think just like walking through the world and like if you believe that you will find hate and discord, like that is what you will find. Because
Mm-hmm.
that is the lens
Mm-hmm.
you are looking at the world through. And
Mm-hmm.
if you decide to
Mm-hmm.
walk through like with love, like will you still see things that are less than ideal and have people like be what? Sure, but it'll be less
Mm-hmm.
significantly because like there will be more of a peripheral thing that you may notice.
Sure.
That's been my experience at least. Like I
Sure.
went to the grocery store today and there was this cute couple. Oh, they were so sweet. I have like so many grocery store stories. I could write an entire book about it.
Great.
But this lovely little couple, the woman's probably like in her mid 60s, I'd say. And we just like looked and she just connected with me. And
Hmm.
she's like, "Hey, so do you know what tiramisu is? Like the thing in the middle? Like, is it like what kind of cake is it?" I'm just like a sponge cake. She's like, "No, no, the things." And then like we're just having this entire spontaneous conversation, like we've been friends for the last 15 years.
I love it. I love it about tiramisu. Great
Yeah, about
subject.
tiramisu, all things,
Yeah.
right? Because we were talking about cake earlier
Right.
before we hopped on, and it was just that beauty of connection and that openness that you have, like that love.
Mm-hmm.
If you walk through the world with love, it will
Mm-hmm.
meet you
It
in
will
just
meet
the
you.
most like innocent ways of connection.
I love that. Innocent. Yeah. It's there's no like it's not there's not an agenda other
No,
than that you just want to be loved, and like
yeah,
you just bring
you
that
just
wherever you go. It's not like I'm
yeah,
going to be loved so that this person's going to do something for me.
yeah, no, no,
Ideally, I'm going to be
no,
loved so like I'll help uplift somebody else today. Right?
exactly. Just
Right?
openness and presence, and just be like, who am I?
Yeah.
Like in Chris's book, like I choose to be me,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and talking about the I am document, it's just like, who are we? Like, who do
Yeah.
we choose to be,
Who
and
do
how
we
do we
choose
choose
to
to
be?
walk through the world?
Walking embodiments
And
of love. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just, and speaking of love and how we show up, like let's transition because I know we go. I feel like we could talk for days on end.
Oh, I could talk about love
I'm,
forever.
I'm like, I'm sure at some point in our lives we probably will. But our second
I'll see you in
conversation,
Phoenix. Yeah.
yes, soon, 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 soon.
Mm-hmm.
And women is heart-centered leaders and like how that is going to positively impact the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more of like what that impetus was for that conversation piece for you. You're like, it's so
Uh,
big.
I know, exactly. It's like speaking of which, speaking of overcoming like lifetimes of trauma,
Yeah,
speaking of overcoming, um, you know, being positioned as a, I'm just going to say it, like lesser citizens,
sure.
throughout
Yeah,
many
absolutely.
thousands of years, right? And I mean, goodness knows
And
it still exists. It's
some
still,
places in this world, very much so still.
and much consciousness, it's still a thing. Whereas, I'm like, hold up, hold the press. Like women are the shiz, and women, again, this is generalization. I'm always careful because there's certainly not
Yes.
women in this category or women who are that much in suffering that
Yeah.
they're not being loved. I still ultimately believe everything behind all pain, there's love deep, deep in
Yeah.
there. you
Deep
know,
in. Yeah.
deep behind it all. But that's back to love and a whole different subject. But with women in general, we are like, we're connectors. We
Yes.
love to love.
Yes.
We love to play. We love to feel. We love to care for things. We love to nurture. It's it's encoded in our being to be nurturers again, like varying degrees and everything. But there, this like I've done statistical studies, and I don't remember the exactitudes of them, but in women are going to be some percent more likely to give to charities, to give, to put money where they believe a difference will be made on the planet than our male counterparts. I know men do it too. Again, it's all more in the
We're not talking
generalization,
about
but
absolutes here.
we're not talking about absolutes, but there are statistics that
There are
prove, this
statistics.
is where, and so, oh man, I mean, it's just, there's so much there. Like a healed woman is kind of like life itself.
Mm.
Like like a woman in her, like goddess, God, selfhood, radiance, she's going to be love. And
Yeah.
she's going to do everything in her power to like exude that, share that, offer that, and create a space for the world to dance in
Yeah.
that. There's a book I read as a teenager. My first love's mother gifted it to me, and like I get like teary even just thinking about it right
Mm.
now. Oof. It's called Daughters of Copper Woman.
Interesting.
Anne Cameron, she's the author, but and my God, forgive me, but I don't remember the name of the tribe, but it's a tribe that's up in BC, British Columbia, and they had been a oratory storytelling tribe for millennia. And then, as things continue to change in this world, they understood that for their myths and stories to be carried through, that it would need to be written, right? So
Yeah.
somehow the woman, the author of this book, was entrusted to this. And it's a story, it's multiple short stories of their myths and their stories, and all the way to when the colonization occurred and everything that happened with that. And there's this story where I don't remember the exact details of it because it's been a minute since I read it. I remember reading the book and just being like so struck by it as a 16-year-old girl, like wow. And it speaks of like the tribe going into discord and going into, I think there were power struggles, like the usual, right?
The usual
Like
stuff. Yeah,
the
yeah,
usual shit that people do, right?
yeah.
And like the men kind of wanting to like take, I think it did have to do with the men wanting to take over where it had been maybe more of a matriarchal situation. There were just, and then the women started to fall into, I think they started to mistreat each other, like the whole
Mm.
thing. And it
Sure.
speaks of this woman, and she goes into, I think, one of their, I think women had moon huts then, right? Where they would sit on the earth and bleed
Yep.
together. And the description, I wish I had it in front of me, but like she steps out of this teepee because she was literally struck with love,
Mm.
struck with the like what I call the truth of love. And she was a woman, and the way she describes it, like I just feel like that's what we're doing. We're becoming those women struck with the power of love, not with power over, not with power I'm better than you, not with power I'm right and you're wrong, not with power like whatever. All the ways we do power. It's not, that's not it. And I love this story because she's just in love. And then by nature of being this beacon and this channel, the people start following her. She walks out of the village. She's like, I'm leaving this
Yeah.
hell behind. I'm leaving this. Whoever wants to come with me. Like
Yeah.
chills. I was on a podcast last week with this amazing woman, Isabel Meringue. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. Sorry, Isabel, if you watch this, but she's amazing. And I loved, she spoke it. She's like, we're on the bridge. We're in the middle of the bridge and we're bringing people over.
Mm,
We're bringing people like, hey, you're, in a way, like you're a little bit lost over there. If you're
yeah.
creating division, if you're creating hatred, if you're creating pain, if you're creating, all segregation, any of the things that you're doing over there, like you're going to be a little bit lost. Come on, let me show you the ways of love. And I believe women in particular have this power, and women in particular have this power for these times.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Mm,
And I think I'm gonna have to like bring that story back out and reread it because it just to this day has stayed with me, and she's just struck with love. Come on, not that way. Come on, this way, over here,
yeah.
because it's all in us. You know. And imagine a
Absolutely.
world like where we're not doing all this silly silliness. And
Yeah.
we're doing the exalted states, we're doing the divine states, we're doing the kind states
Yeah.
versus the
Love the place is yes. Karen just Karen, we
with
love
Karen
Karen.
say. Yeah, we love you, Karen.
Karen's always so funny. She sent me a message, and so I was um yeah. She's like, me getting ready for an interview. Why am I checking Facebook right now? Sees you and I on our
Oh,
interview. She's like, oh, that's why.
that's perfect. We love it.
But yeah, Karen's amazing. We love
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Speaking of love, yet another powerful woman who is working, like
Uh,
walking through the world in love,
exactly.
in a space of love.
Exactly. And so as a heart-led leader and a female entrepreneur, that's what I'm all for. I'm all for that empowerment and like the ultimate empowerment, right? It's like the self that is awake to love and not afraid to express it, be it, show others the way.
Yeah. I'm so grateful for you to bring forward the pure aspect of love, because that's a space like we can envelop people in, right? In that space of healing when you're coming
Mhm.
from a place of purity, of love, of unconditional love, as I like to call it, right? Because
Mhm.
it's without expectation. When
Mm.
you can walk through the world in a space of unconditional love, you do things because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You don't
Yes.
do it because you expect some sort of return from another person.
Right.
If
Mm.
they want to give something to you in return, like that's beautiful. If
Yeah.
that's not the space that they're in yet in their journey, it's a space of beautiful detachment because you did it from a place of unconditional love. You're
Unconditional
like,
love.
that's okay. You're
Yeah.
like, I see your higher self. I love you as a human. I love you as a soul.
Mhm.
Like, that's okay. Like, I'm good. I had healthy boundaries while also giving this gift of unconditional love. So, like, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
I'm secure in this space. And
Yeah.
to walk through the world in such beautiful, like, modeling and leadership is what is profound and what we need to see more of in this
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. And, I'm going to add to that, like, as far as, an exchange. I'm such a stand for women, and I work with healers and I work with relationship coaches and I work with, movement embodiment leaders and I work with, the women who run the gamut of healer-esque, beings. I'm gonna encourage them to charge well for it. It ain't
Yes.
just a free thing. And that's huge because women will be that love unconditionally and give it up and give it over with nothing left for themselves.
And I'm
We
so
live in
glad that you
different
brought that
times.
part.
Yeah, we live in different times where it's like that's part, it's like yes, and we do need to like pay bills, and there is the like earthy thing we're doing here, and there is no shame. And in fact, the opposite of women stepping into their financial sovereignty through their God-given gifts from like lifetimes and going like, yeah, I have some mojo here to share with others. And I got to make a living. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be something else that I'm not to try to make a living. I'm going to step fully into exactly who I am as a soul and create something so powerful that's going to transform lives. And you can't put a price tag on the levels of transformation that these women have the potential to create for people's lives.
I could not agree with you more. And that's part of like why I added the piece of boundaries,
Yeah.
is that understanding that like I'm giving for this space with boundaries. And
Yeah.
so like they're just being, the way I was speaking was more of a generalization, like
Yeah.
just how we engage
Totally.
through the
Totally.
world and in relationship, but in business, like absolutely. Like
Hmm.
we should charge what we are worth. And many of the things that we do offer humanity is priceless.
Yeah.
And navigating that for a lot of us, for our price point of what we are charging and how we navigate that in different spheres. For me, I can simply speak for myself, has absolutely been difficult because
Hmm.
like my coaching at $5,000 for 3 months of coaching is easily worth that amount of money. But I
Hmm.
also see the people who I could help that can't afford that. And I
Right.
struggle with that. That's
Right.
that balance, and how I've navigated it is a conversation and agreement with any person that I help serve, because my mission is to empower 1 billion people on the planet.
Mm.
And the way that I look at that, thank you. And then I look at that is that I can't be everything to all people. So
Mm-mm.
if I have time and I can serve someone who may not be able to normally afford my service, my agreement with them is that they have to pay it forward at some point in time,
Hmm.
money, or service. So
Hmm.
that exchange is still in alignment
Beautiful.
with my mission.
Hmm.
And I'm
Beautiful.
like, if I have, thank you. I'm like, if I have time to scroll on Facebook or watch TV shows, I have time to give an hour or two or whatever to somebody, because it fills
Truth.
me up more.
Truth. Truth.
It's like it's a journey and balance for all of us to understand. And like, how do we navigate that and not like undermining the value that we're handing other people who are willing and able to pay us that money?
Sure.
Um,
And that's also coming up with tiered structures within your
yeah.
business, and
So many,
that's a
so
whole
many,
thing. But
yeah,
yeah.
so many different things, which in our last 12 minutes that we have, like really lends itself into our last conversation piece, which is entrepreneurship and how to slay and also have fun. So
Uh-huh. Yes. Well, and I mean, there's so many ways to slay, and there are so many ways to play.
facts.
I'm like, where to even
Facts.
begin, right?
Yeah, it's like that, how we define it, right? Like, how do we define like really making an epic impact in our business, and whatever that looks like for us? Is it the amount of people you're helping? Is it the amount of income you're pulling in? Like making sure like how you're in alignment with your values and getting to
Yeah.
be an entrepreneur in a space of integrity. And people
Mhm.
have different value systems, and like how not to judge other people. Like there's so many different pieces to it.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. There's so many different ways to go about it. And one person's version of slay is going to be different than another's. One person is just going to be like, yeah, I would like, 5 high ticket, one-on-one, highly high touch, really personal, deep, like going in there with just a small amount because that feels good to my nervous system. Another
Yeah.
person is going to be like, I am a movement leader and I want a team and I want to make, 8 figures and like, right?
Yeah. All
So
the
it's
things.
the slaying is I teach to the nervous system.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and like where any woman is at that particular time in her journey,
What
right?
does that mean for the people that are like, "What did she?"
So like awesome. So that means like we can come in and be like, I want to do 8 figures, but you like literally haven't even had a client yet. And you're like, okay, we can reverse engineer, but what are those first steps? And what are those first layers? And how much money, what are you going to charge now? That's like feels a little edgy, but that's not
Yeah,
gonna like blow your whole system up. And also like you don't have a system to like even hold that amount of money should you land it right now.
right.
Like there's an honorary structuring, experience to going into entrepreneurship that I believe creating those foundations are first, then you keep expanding from that. So
Yeah,
it's
no.
and you know, yeah, I've worked with clients who are like, yeah, I want, you know, the 20K client right now. And the other person's like, I'm barely ready for 3,000. And I'm like, okay, you know, we're going to stretch that a little bit because you want to be out of your comfort zone, but we're
For
not going to
sure.
stretch it so much that you like blow out your nervous system because you're so nervous about being able to deliver at that, what you believe that quality is.
No, I love that so much. It's just like with my giant goal of empowering 1 billion people over the next 40 years, people just like, that number is crazy. And you're not even seeing that many people now. I'm like, yeah, because the way I look at it is I'm working on myself
Right.
as the foundation
Right.
to that because I
Exactly.
know that like it can exponentially
Exactly.
jump over the years and that's fine.
And there's
Um
the way that you touch 1 billion lives, like indirectly. It's like you're going to touch 1 million lives by, you know, coaching this one person who then has this access to this industry, like, you know, the ripple effect.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like I've seen as a massage therapist over the last 20, almost 24 years, I've seen at least 20 to 25,000 people. And like
Yeah,
I have no idea how many random acts of kindness I've done over the course of my life that has rippled out.
exactly.
Like I could have touched
Exactly.
1 million lives already by default. Like, I don't
I,
know.
I believe it. I believe it. Yeah. And some of it you can quantitate and some of it you can't. You know, like
Right.
Vicky was at Transcendence
Vicky's amazing.
records
Gosh,
of
just so much
actually
respect for her.
touching 1 million lives, you know, which is
Yeah.
so cool. I don't know how they, yeah,
So
but she
epic.
literally has record of it, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and then in some cases, it's like you may never see some of the effect. But the whole purpose is that when each of us take up our own mantle of leadership and of impact
Yeah.
towards the world that we want to live in and that we want to create for future generations, it's going to have this just glorious ripple effect. And I really do
Heck
believe it's that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Celebrate.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm
Yes.
here for that conversation for sure.
So slaying is like basically choosing your runway, you know, and
Yeah.
like getting in, like get in there. Like really landing, you know, stay in your own lane and
Yeah.
like create it and believe in it and structure it and give it your all and stop comparing yourself to everybody else and hire the right people to support you and just, and again, that lane can like veer, you know, it can do cool things that are different than what you're creating right now.
Yeah.
But this is just how I teach, you know, like shoot, like get in there, slay in your genius dimension where you're
Yeah.
coming from, right? And then you build and then you grow. And don't forget to play, right?
Yes.
Don't forget to play. And for me, like, I mean, I think it can be different for each of us because we all have our own like strong points, our strong suit. Because
For sure.
for some women, like technology is actually straight up, or like some of the women I work with who are like brilliant in the intuitive realm and they're like seers and psychics and healers and they can change your cellular DNA from like 5,000 years ago in one session, right? But
Yeah.
maybe getting on the computer and like all the kind of detail stuff can be really hard
Yeah.
and really tedious, you know? And I'm like, okay, well, how can you structure it? A, so that you're not just blowing your system out by being on the screen all day, right? Like
Yeah.
commit an hour or two every morning or every afternoon, or, you know, like make it your focus time. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, how can you make it fun? Do the photo shoots, do the, you know, play with your words, like do lives, do interviews, like whatever it is that's going to
Yeah.
kind of light your particular lantern, you know, light you up, like your spaceship, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, you know. Then like make it fun. Like don't make it like people can make it so hard for themselves because they go into story and they go into like,
Yeah.
oh, but this is so hard, but this is and I don't like this. And this is, you know, like I actually had one client once who like she was so daunted by a photo shoot. And she was just like, she didn't want to do it. Like she was actually like, the resistor was large. Like she, you
Yeah.
know, and I was like, dude, you gotta get some good imagery going for your as you're up leveling And as you're stepping into this new, version of yourself and your service, get the images to match it, like you're not going to use that like blurry thing from 5 years ago or whatever, or even a photo
Yeah.
from 5 years ago because that's not her anymore, right?
Yeah.
And I like photo shoots. I've been doing them since I was a kid. Like me and my best friends would do them for fun.
So
So for
fun.
so for me, that part's easy. It might not. Photo shoots can be very confronting for a lot of women. And
Interesting.
I'll notice, and I do this. I mean, a local, like first view in a lot of photos. Oh God, I look awful. Or oh, look, my double chin. Or oh, look at that fat roll. Or oh, like, or I don't know, like oh, I look old. Or bleh, oh, my hair. Like women will criticize the fuck out of themselves, and I'm like,
It's
well,
true.
I want to end that as an endemic, in and of itself. Because I'll look at a picture of someone and be like, they look so beautiful, and they're just
Yeah.
harping on themselves. But anyways. So with respect and compassion for that, something like a photo shoot can be really edgy.
Yeah.
However, so what happened with this client is she went and did it and had a blast. And she had a
Nice.
huge breakthrough around
That's
her
awesome.
own beauty, self-worth, expression, right? Because it's a way to express oneself. And she was so lit up about it that she's like, I'm doing another one like at the end of the month or whatever.
That's awesome.
Right. And I get that's one piece, of the pie of being an entrepreneur, but I really do believe that, it's really when we put our own mug, it's just like our voice,
Yeah.
it's our fingerprint, it's who we are, and that the particular clients we're meant to work with are going to be drawn to that particular you. And
Yeah.
so bringing forth your soul's expression through vision and
Yeah.
through words and through the messaging, right? There's
Yeah.
such key components to part of this, dance that we're doing in the online space as entrepreneurs. And
Yeah.
I think it can bring a great deal of pride. It can bring a great deal of like self-love even,
Yeah.
like, oh wow, look. And like even stepping into like your queenness, your
Yeah.
goddessness, right? So
Absolutely.
that's one version, definitely comes to mind, the slay and play, own your lane, and then like put yourself like shine, show up and shine.
No, I love that so much. The show up and shine.
Hmm.
There's one quick question that I want to bring it, well, two rather, because we
Yeah,
always have an ending question.
sure.
But a lot of the women that I've known over the last 23 years of being in business really struggle being in their masculine energy versus their
Mm,
feminine
mm,
as we compete in that space.
mhm,
And uh, I know I was in that space for a very long time, and I found more
mhm,
balance since moving to Virginia because I specifically chose to do that because I wanted to prove that we could. But
mhm.
what was that like for you? And what advice would you give women who
So
are
like,
struggling with the masculine being
so
like
is it that
unbalanced?
like the either way, like either they're too
It could be
masculine?
either if yeah, either way. If you wanted to talk
Yeah.
about balance, yeah,
I mean,
struggling.
typically the women I work with have the struggle more towards incorporating the masculine because they're
So
more
interesting.
feeling intuitive, like I said, kind of
Yeah, it's so fun to see like the different people we
flowing
surround ourselves with, like
and
how
like
they
what,
tip in.
yeah, what's a calendar anyways, like kind of that kind of thing. And
I
I
love
know
it.
there's plenty of women who then maybe they're too much in their masculine alternatively,
Yeah,
which can then they kind of can lose some of like the flow and the softness and the yeah, this kind of
yeah,
like letting go, like give up a little control, like surrender space, right?
yeah.
Um, so, but again, because I've typically worked more with the women they need more support with the structuring and they need more
Mhm.
support with like the like schedule, right?
Yeah.
Um, so one more time, ask the question.
Sure, like people who are struggling, I guess since you have the polar opposite of me, of the people that we've surrounded
Is
with,
that
we can
interesting?
bring, yeah, it is very interesting. So coming into a space of just a question of how do we find balance when we are too heavily in either the masculine or the feminine as
Mhm.
women in business?
Yeah.
How do we honor ourselves in being able to like have that space of grace and understanding, be like, it's okay for me to be more masculine. It's okay for me to be more feminine. How do I come into a space of intuitively finding my center?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Again, I think it's going to be a little bit different for everyone, right? We're all so
Yeah,
unique. You know, we
it's
all like
true.
really do have our own rhythm and,
I
kind of,
like
right? Like
might be too broad of a question. I'm like, we need
no,
like
it's okay. Yeah, no, but what comes to mind, I'm so funny because I'm so feminine, and I'm so flow.
yeah,
Um, and I really have a really good sense for structure. It's cool. I feel like, I could swing both ways, let's just
yeah,
say.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
very much so. And so for women who are a little bit, and let me just think of terms, yeah, if I'm too much of my masculine one, I burn out.
Mm,
And so what do I do to remedy that? Spend time in nature, take a bath, get massages, make love, pet my cat, get my hands in my plants, do the sensual, natural things.
yeah,
Just and give yourself permission to like stop working for like because
yeah,
there could be women who go into that like overdrive, right?
for
So giving
sure.
yourself permission to so for those women, it's giving themselves permission to create space to relax and to let
Mm,
flow, relax and let flow. Um, for the women on the opposite side who then struggle to get into a more disciplined, more structured, then it's going to be opposite. You have to create the space in your day to get with the nitty gritty and
yeah,
to not be afraid to set a schedule and to not be afraid to like get on your computer and do the things, right?
yeah,
Um, and to make it a priority because I am never and not once, not never gonna be I know Andrea Franco, she's so bold about it. Like she spoke at Transcendence, the girl. I'm like shy because it's so not my style, but like you know, pleasure yourself and then you get like 20 clients, like that version of things. Um, or like sit on your lotus pad and like clients are just gonna fall from the sky, and it's like, yes, magnetism, and you gotta have that and you gotta have the space, but you also gotta do the thing.
you got to do the work. You
You
got to do
gotta
the
do the
work.
work. And so finding that balance, it's like make a schedule that's gonna work for you, stick to it,
Yeah,
and lean into the structure. And for the women who have a hard time on the opposite end, giving up control, being too, and that's going to probably help their relationships too. It's like being able to surrender, being able to let go and let flow. I said it
yeah,
again. Um, so it's kind of the equal and opposite, which is kind of cool.
yeah. We need to have diverse friend groups so that we can learn from each other.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there'll be different coaches probably for different types, women.
Absolutely. And like
Very
different
much so.
stages of our lives
And stages of your business.
and stages of our business.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. But there's women, I mean, again, yeah, who I work with who've been in business for, many, many years. And they're just going like, I need to do this different. I've been
Yeah.
pushing too hard,
Yep.
and then I will coach to streamline and raise your rates and do the version I mentioned before, like become a premium um, coach or whatever it is that they're doing, become
Yeah.
premium for a select few versus like that, like the grand thing that takes, so much organization.
Yes. And then
Yeah.
there's that.
And then there's that. And it's awesome because there's something for everybody and different people are
There
meant
is.
for different versions, of the journey. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'd say I'm definitely in the the more like singular, especially, as I got sick over these last years, so I had to really tone down and go for more one-on-one,
Yeah.
experience and a little less is more, right?
Yeah.
I am excited because I am going to be developing, I'm in the process of developing my next group program, which is awesome. But even
That's
then, it's going to be a
fantastic.
very intimate group program, right?
Yeah. Very curated.
Yeah, very curated, good word. Yeah, very curated, very intimate, for a very specific type of woman and all of that. Whereas my partner, right, he's like up of millions guy. And it's like he has a team of like 12 and he rocks, these bigger things. And he's built for that. He is
Yeah.
absolutely built for that. And I'd like to think as his partner, I'm kind of like, okay, honey, I think I've helped him to do the self-care. Because that guy will
Hyper?
just, he will go and go and go and go, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I
No,
try
for
to
sure.
encourage him to, like go get a massage, like let's chill out on Sundays or like sacred Sunday day, where we just
Yes.
chill. Sundays chill. It's great.
That's
We
awesome.
love our
Just
Sundays. So
lounge and relax.
yeah, yeah. So hopefully that was, good to hear as
No,
to see
it's
that.
good. Everything, I truly believe that everything hits exactly the way it's supposed to. Everything flows the way that it's supposed to for whoever is meant to hear what it is that we present on the show.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It makes me think of your question, the masculine feminine, like the yin yang symbol,
yes.
and they each have the dot. So it's like,
Mhm.
let's say the black is the super feminine and she's got the dot of white. So
Yeah.
like that's your masculine, that's where you active, that's where you do, that's where you, push,
Yeah.
whatever, hustle. There's your white dot's the hustle. And then the opposite, the
Yeah.
white for the more, driven type A types, and that black dot needs to be their like inner sanctum, sanctity, quiet time, rest.
Yeah. So
Very
they're
sacred.
anchors.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
my friend, we are a little bit over, but I would love to ask you the last question I ask
Oh,
everyone, which is who inspires you in the world today?
oh man, Taylor Swift.
That's so funny because she came into my mind during this interview and I was just like, God, it was just like for whatever reason, it just like downloaded and it's just like, oh, it'd be so cool for me to get to like do a one-on-one coaching package for like 3 months with Taylor Swift.
Right?
Just
She'd be great.
randomly popped into my head during this interview. Like, I don't know why, it just randomly pops in my head. So I think it's really funny that that's who you would say
Wait, if
inspires
you
you.
coached her, or if she coached you.
I coached her.
Oh, wow. Gosh. Okay, I like your thinking. Hmm. Hey, Tay. Yeah, but I do. I definitely admire her
She's
very much.
phenomenal as a human being.
I think she's phenomenal. And it's so funny. I wasn't a fan. I thought she was just kind of another pop star. Until my dad not only introduced me, he was like, every time I see an interview of her, she just seems like a really good person. And like, I was like,
Yeah.
well, really? Okay. And then he's like, and some of her music, her folklore album, so pretty. It's, or softer. Anyway,
Mm,
and I just appreciate how she takes a stand for the things she believes in. I
yeah.
appreciate, all of it. She's gorgeous. She's like, she's just rad. I have definitely, um, yeah, and I admire her for being the first billionaire in the music industry who did it singularly for music alone, not from like having a clothing,
Product and like whatever.
all that.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't
it's
actually know that particular piece. I think that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, super impressive. And she's a great
Yeah.
songwriter. And Avery on Alok's team, he and I like they came and did a team. A few of the team members came here to our house for like a team weekend, building weekend, and we watched her Eras tour. Me and Avery were like, hey, Tay. But then second to that, I'd say my partner. I admire him greatly. He
That's
inspires me.
awesome.
He inspires
That's
me
a
all
really
the time.
beautiful thing.
Yeah, he never gives up, man. That man
Mm,
gives it his all every day in every way. It's like you almost wouldn't believe it. People who like criticize him, I'm like, you guys have no idea. We have no idea
yeah.
what he does. He's so walks his talk
Yeah.
through and through. And he'll admit it when he's made a wrong, misstepped. He's not
Yeah.
afraid to like
That is
own
one of
it.
the greatest things I respect about people in general.
Yeah, he'll own it every time and then just walks his fucking walk. So yeah, yeah. Those Tay Tay and my beautiful man.
Okay. Oh, I love that so much. I'm like, yeah, I know. That she might already know all the things I would coach her on, but you got to put yourself out there for belief and not think that just because people are famous and super rich that we don't
Yeah.
necessarily have something to share to teach them.
Yeah. And I mean, funny enough, I saw some birthday party of hers where she had like cake from a place that I know of that like it's fucking crack, excuse me, as a woman who has a hard time with sugar and gluten. And I know the place, like it was like, I'm like, Taylor, if you only had one of my cakes, girl. Like
Postulate, like, Caitlin, you need to like give one of your cakes to Taylor Smith. I think that we are needing to manifest this moment. We're just going to have like an intimate, sweet, super party. Like,
there
you're
you go.
going to like make her cake
And just
and
moving
a
into the
look.
next
Yeah, that's
layers of
just
awakening. Like we're
all
gonna
of the things.
create
And
something. Yeah.
we're gonna remember this interview like
Yeah.
5 years from now. We're all
Yeah.
hanging out together.
Good. Tay.
So, say, like, how was your weekend?
I love it. I love it. Well, so fun.
Oh, thank you. I had a
So
great time too.
uplifting.
It
Mm.
was truly a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you
You.
so
Thank
much.
you. And thank you anyone who showed up. And yeah, may all beings be happy, and
For sure.
benefited, and uplifted.
Thank you. And where can people find you, Caitlin?
Oh, that's awesome. Well, as far as my new music video, it's on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Caitlin Naramore. My music can be found on Spotify, and iTunes, my whole EP. I personally can be found on my website. Everything's Caitlin Naramore, like so Facebook, Instagram, and my website, all Caitlin Naramore. And
Perfect.
yeah, reach out, connect.
Love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You will not be disappointed, folks, to listen to her music and see the
Mm.
amazing things that she's doing for coaching. And like she said, she has a group coaching situation coming up. So stay
Coming,
tuned for what
coming
she's
around the
bringing in.
bend.
It's
Yeah.
coming around. She'll be coming around the mountain. And if you'd like to come be on my show or do any sort of transformation or flirting coaching with me, you can go to
Learning coaching. What?
ElisiaBus.com. So until next time, y'all, we will see you later. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Peace.